It was a cold morning in Chicago when Ethan Hayes, a quiet, soft-spoken man in his early 30s, walked into Riverlake General Hospital. He wore faded jeans, an old gray hoodie, and carried a small notebook. He looked nothing like a powerful man. In fact, he looked like someone who barely slept, someone who blended into the background. Nobody knew the truth. Ethan was the secret majority owner and CEO of the entire hospital system. He kept his identity hidden because he wanted to see the hospital from the eyes of a normal person, not as a man who signed paychecks. He wanted to see who genuinely cared. That morning, the ER waiting room was full, crying parents, exhausted patients, frustrated nurses. Among them stood Dr. Ava Miller, brilliant, beautiful, respected, but stressed, impatient, and sometimes harsh without realizing it. Ethan watched her for a moment. She was talented, no doubt, but she was losing her kindness under pressure. He walked toward her desk. "Hey, are you Dr. Miller?" he asked politely. She didn't even look up from the chart in her hand. "Yes." "What do you need?" she replied, annoyed. I wanted to talk to someone about a patient complaint," he said softly. Now she looked up, but with irritation, not interest. "Sir, I don't have time for this. Go talk to the receptionist." He tried again. "It's about how patients are being treated." Ava snapped. "Look, I'm a doctor, not a customer service worker. Move aside. I have real patients to treat." A few nurses shifted uncomfortably. A few patients stared. Ethan stepped back slowly. His kindness had been met with humiliation. For the next 2 days, Ethan quietly observed everything: patients crying in hallways, nurses skipping breaks, and doctors arguing under pressure. He noticed Ava everywhere. She worked the hardest, but her heart was slowly hardening. He didn't blame her. He just understood her. But everything changed on the 3rd day. A little boy came into the ER after a car accident. 8-year-old Leo Carter, unconscious, bleeding, barely breathing. His mother was screaming, begging for help. Ava rushed to Leo, fighting to keep him alive. But the ER was understaffed, and there weren't enough supplies for critical trauma cases. She shouted for help, but nurses were overwhelmed. Ethan stood watching from the corner, feeling every heartbeat like a punch to the chest. Ava fought for Leo for nearly 20 minutes. But the equipment malfunctioned. And the little boy's heartbeat stopped. Ava froze. Everyone froze. Leo's mother collapsed to the floor. Ava whispered, trembling, I'm so sorry." Later that night, Ethan found her sitting alone in the staff room, crying silently. He approached gently. "Dr. Miller?" She wiped her face quickly and looked away. She didn't want anyone to see her vulnerable. "You were right," she whispered. "The system is broken. I'm trying, I really am, but we're losing people because we don't have enough support. And nobody listens to us." Ethan sat beside her. "What if someone did listen?" he asked softly. Ava laughed bitterly. "The CEO? He hasn't stepped foot in this hospital for years. He hides somewhere in a big office while we struggle like this." Ethan looked down at his hands. He could have revealed himself. But he didn't. Not yet. Instead he said, "Kindness still matters, even on hard days. You're a great doctor, Ava. But you've stopped treating yourself kindly. That's why you're becoming harsh." She stared at him, shocked that a nobody could read her so deeply. Who are you?" she whispered. He only smiled. "A friend." The next week, the hospital announced a mandatory all-staff meeting. Doctors whispered nervously. Nurses exchanged confused glances. Ava, tired and overwhelmed, took a seat in the front row. Then the door opened. And Ethan walked in, wearing a suit. The room fell silent. Ava's hand froze mid-air. The man she dismissed. The man she brushed off like he was nobody. Was walking to the podium with a badge that read, Ethan Hayes, Chief Executive Officer. Gasp spread across the room. Ava's heart dropped so hard she couldn't breathe. Ethan looked around. Not angry. Not arrogant. Just calm. He spoke. I've spent the last several weeks here as an ordinary visitor. I saw exhaustion. I saw struggle. I saw unnecessary pain. And I also saw dedication, from people who deserve more support. A few nurses wiped tears. And yes, he continued, I met people who were frustrated. People who forgot that kindness is part of healing. But I also understand why. This hospital failed you. Ava stared at the floor, cheeks burning. Then Ethan said, starting today, everything changes. He announced new support programs, more staff hiring, better equipment, mental health breaks, and paid overtime. The room erupted in applause. But Ethan wasn't done. He walked toward Ava. The entire staff watched. Ethan extended his hand gently. Dr. Miller, he said softly, I hope we can start over. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I judged you. I treated you like you didn't matter. Ethan shook his head. What matters is who you choose to become now. Ava broke down crying, not from shame, but from relief.